Karen's smirk could curdle milk from a mile away. She waddled toward my truck, her oversized leopard print purse swinging like a wrecking ball, convinced she owned the world and every parking lot in it. The evening air in the small-town hardware store lot was thick with the scent of asphalt and desperation. And Karen was about to make it thicker. This wasn't just a parking dispute, it was a full-blown showdown. And I, Jake, a tired mechanic with a beat-up Chevy, was about to see justice served with a side of irony. It started innocently enough. I parked my truck in the lot of Handy Hardware, a local staple where folks grabbed nails and gossip in equal measure. I was inside, haggling over a wrench set, when I heard a commotion through the store's glass doors. Stepping out, I saw her, Karen, all 5'4" and 300 pounds of her, hovering by my truck like a vulture circling roadkill. Her bleach blonde hair was teased into a helmet, and her voice, sharp as a butcher's knife, was already slicing through the evening calm. "You parked in my spot," she screeched, jabbing a manicured finger at my Chevy. The spot wasn't marked, wasn't handicapped, wasn't reserved, just a patch of asphalt she'd apparently claimed with the divine authority of a suburban dictator. A small crowd, maybe 3 people, had gathered: a teenage cashier named Mia, a grizzled old man named Hank with a cart full of lumber, and me, still clutching my wrench set like a lifeline. "Your spot," I said, keeping my voice steady but firm. "Lady, I parked here fair and square. Been here 20 minutes. Karen's eyes narrowed, her lips curling into a sneer that screamed she'd never heard the word no in her life. "I've been parking here every Tuesday for years," she spat, as if tradition trumped logic. "You don't know who you're dealing with, buddy." She reached into her purse, pulling out a shiny, suspicious-looking Kia master key, the kind locksmiths used to crack open anything from sedans to semi-trucks. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just a tantrum. This was a heist in the making. "Mia," the cashier whispered to Hank, "is she really going to try that?" Hank just shook his head, muttering something about entitled Karens under his breath. I stepped closer, my boots crunching on the gravel. "Ma'am, step away from my truck," I said, my voice low but edged with warning. Karen ignored me, jamming the key into the driver's side lock and twisting it with the confidence of someone who'd done this before. The lock didn't budge. My Chevy, old as it was, had a custom pin I'd installed myself. Karen's master key was useless. "You're stealing my truck," I shouted, loud enough to make the onlookers flinch. Karen whipped around, her face redder than a tail light. "I'm stealing. You're the one in my spot," she roared, as if her logic made any sense. Then, in a move that could only be described as peak Karen, she pulled out her phone and dialed 911. "Yes. Hello? Officer. There's a man here harassing me and refusing to move his truck from my spot," she wailed, her voice dripping with crocodile tears. Mia snorted, and even Hank cracked a grin. I just stood there, arms crossed, knowing this was about to backfire spectacularly. The cops arrived in under 10 minutes. 2 officers, a tall guy named Rodriguez and a no-nonsense woman named Carter. Karen launched into her performance, gesturing wildly at me and my truck, claiming I'd threatened her and stolen her parking spot. I stayed calm, explaining that I'd parked legally, and this woman was trying to break into my vehicle with a master key. Rodriguez raised an eyebrow, glancing at the key still dangling from Karen's hand. "Ma'am, is that a master key?" he asked, his tone neutral but sharp. Karen froze, her bravado cracking like cheap plastic. It's just a spare, she stammered. But the lie was as flimsy as her story. Carter stepped forward, her eyes narrowing. Mind if we take a look at that? She asked, holding out her hand. Karen clutched the key tighter, her face a mix of panic and defiance. This is outrageous. I'm the victim here, she shrieked. But the officers weren't buying it. Rodriguez motioned for her to hand it over. And when she hesitated, Carter's hand moved to her radio. A silent warning. The crowd now just Mia, Hank, and a random guy who'd wandered over with a bag of screws was eating this up. Mia whispered to me, "She's done for." I nodded, watching as Karen's empire of entitlement crumbled. Carter took the key, examined it, and exchanged a look with Rodriguez. "This is a universal lockpick, ma'am," Carter said, her voice cold. "Care to explain why you're carrying it and trying to open this man's truck?" Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. I thought it was my car," she finally blurted, pointing vaguely at a shiny SUV parked 3 spaces away. The lie was laughable. Me battered Chevy looked nothing like her polished ride. Rodriguez didn't even bother hiding his skepticism. "So you mistook a pickup for an SUV and used a master key instead of your own?" he asked, his tone dripping with disbelief. At this point, Hank piped up, his gravelly voice cutting through the tension. "She's been pulling this crap for months," he said, leaning on his cart. "Tried to bully me out of a spot last week. Said she'd have my car towed. Bet she's got a stash of those keys." The crowd murmured, and Karen's face went from red to purple. "You shut up, old man," she snapped, but her voice was shaking now, her confidence unraveling. Carter wasn't done. She ran Karen's ID through their system, and the radio crackled with a hit. "Ma'am, you've got a record," she said, her voice flat. "Petty theft, vandalism, and a string of complaints about parking lot disputes. Care to explain?" Karen's eyes darted around, searching for an escape, but there was none. The officers had her cornered, and the crowd was her jury. "I'm a law-abiding citizen," Karen screamed, her voice cracking. "You can't do this to me. I'll sue." But her threats fell flat. Rodriguez pulled out his cuffs, and the metallic click echoed in the quiet lot. "You're under arrest for attempted theft and possession of burglary tools," he said, his voice calm but final. Karen's hands were cuffed behind her back, her purse hitting the ground with a thud. She wailed, her voice a mix of rage and humiliation, as Carter led her to the squad car. Mia clapped quietly, and Hank let out a low whistle. "Karma's a mean one," he muttered, and I couldn't help but agree. As the cop car pulled away, Karen's face pressed against the window, her smugness replaced by a look of pure defeat. I picked up my wrench set from where I dropped it, feeling a strange mix of relief and vindication. The parking lot was just a parking lot again, the tension dissolving into the cool evening air. But the story didn't end there. Word spread fast in our small town. By the next morning, Handy Hardware was buzzing with gossip about Keygate. Mia told everyone who'd listen, and Hank became a local legend for his quip about Karen's key stash. I heard later that Karen tried to spin the story in court, claiming she'd been set up, but the judge wasn't having it. The master key, her record, and the witnesses Mia, Hank, and sealed her fate. She got community service, a hefty fine, and a ban from the hardware store lot. The SUV, towed for unpaid tickets she'd racked up during her parking lot crusades. Looking back, I don't hate Karen. I pity her. She thought she could bully her way through life, wielding entitlement like a weapon. But all it got her was a pair of cuffs and a long walk of shame. Life has a way of humbling those who think they're above it. My truck's still parked in that lot every Tuesday. And every time I see it, I smell a little reminder that justice, like a good wrench, always fits just right. The end.